We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125, all social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up, ECG lied when it claimed recent intermittent power outages were due to transformer overloads. We have details of the latest Public Utilities Regulatory Commission PURC's order, which imposes a hefty 5.8 million cedis fine on ECG board members for failing to publish a doomsday timetable. And also, LPG Marketers Association and OMCs reject $80 levy on liquefied petroleum gas, as it described the levy as highly insensitive. More from the energy front, as leadership of Concerned Drivers Association calls the bluff of the Finance or the Transport Ministry. An Attorney General's office begins plans to have former CEO of Maslock, Sedina Tamaklo Ationo, extradited to face justice following a 10-year jail term handed by the Accra High Court. And later, we'll have prime business.
Oil marketing companies increase prices of petroleum products at the pumps, with Goil selling a litre of petrol at 14 cedis 99 pesos and diesel going for 14 cedis 80 pesos. Meanwhile, COPEC warns of further hikes.
We are quite certain that if nothing changes and the city continues to perform badly, and then again you also have MPA some way, somehow, adjusting some of the taxes, you are probably going to pay more for petrol, for diesel, for gas, even in the second window or the first window in May.
Thank you so much for choosing us. Now, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, has declared that the Electricity Company of Ghana peddled falsehood when it claimed the recent intermittent power outages was due to overloaded transformers across the country. The ECG has always insisted the recent power outages is not a doomsday, but challenges with faulty transformers, explaining the wear on nationwide drive to repair those transformers. But in its latest regulatory order directed at the ECG, the PURC says its analysis of data submitted by the ECG itself point to the fact that only 3 planned outages were related to transformers, and the outages were actually as a result of load management operations undertaken by Gridco. We'll get into this document shortly. First, listen to the Managing Director of the ECG, Samuel Dubik Mahama, telling Evans Mensah last month about these claims of overloaded transformers.
Everything is intact, and our customers are enjoying a very stable power supply as we speak. As you know, we distribute what we get. So from the upstream, when there are any disturbances from the upstream, it actually affects our job on the downstream side. At the beginning of every year, there's some maintenance that comes into play. I remember very well somewhere last year, it was Ghana Gas that had to shut down for some maintenance, and we had to make preparation for the purchase of some liquid fuels to keep the power up. This year, what we have suffered is mostly on the low voltage side, which has to do with ECG. Especially in the Ashanti region area, we had a lot of underground cables exploding due to the heat that we've experienced over this period. What then happened was these underground cables have high voltage, so we had to replace some of them. And when you're trying to replace them, by the time you realize you get to a place, there's a building on the underground cable. So you now need to have to rework and rewire your whole plan to see how you can join it through a different spot. On the other side, we have been experiencing a lot of overloads on a lot of our transformers within lots and lots of localities. I have always said that the next big conversation that we are going to be having, saying there's doomsday, there's doomsday. The doomsday that we are going to experience is not going to be on the side of, let's say, lack of generation, but what we are experiencing now is mostly on overloads. At peak, we have come to realize that a lot of our, a lot of our transformers have a lot of customers on them, more than what we have prescribed. Going through our system, there's a required way of doing it. We actually do 10 of the transformer before customers are loaded. But when you check through our SCADA systems, you don't even find out when those transformers were turned off for people to be loaded. I say this because if it hadn't been for the issues that we experienced in Sobenya and in Krobola and with our customers, we wouldn't have even known that local electricians had a way of onboarding people onto transformers without our knowledge.
Now let's get into the latest regulatory orders from the PURC, which is quite meaty in terms of the information it has provided, and data analyst with our research desk here. Joining you is Isaac. Kofi joins me in studio. Kofi, let's start from the PURC, saying the ECG did not provide accurate information when it claimed the outages were due to overloaded transformers.
Well, so ECG actually submitted data to the PURC to validate, and according to their analysis, the data that ECG provided them, where they said they had already indicated that most of the outages they carried out were as a result of, planned maintenance or as a result of transformer faulty transformers. They say that was factually inaccurate, which you put in your headline as a lie, but PURC says that was factually inaccurate. According to them, only 3 of the planned outages were actually as a result of the faulty transformers, and that the kind of outages we had was not because of the faulty transformers. In fact, we've been digging in to look at the data, and you'll see that about 4 of the orders that the PURC actually gave ECG to work on, they did not meet these orders. Now, let's look at the first one, the payment of tariff revenue as prescribed by the cash waterfall mechanism. Very important mechanism here, that whatever that the ECG collects, all the power sector players come there to drink. That's why we call it the cash waterfall mechanism. Now, ECG is yet to pay the shortfall from August 2023 to February 2024. How much is the amount? The amount involved here is more than 446 million Ghana cedis. Now, in the cash waterfall mechanism, you have 2 categories of players that ECG must deal with, which is the category A. Now, per the data, they've been dealing fairly well with the category A people, which is usually the big guys, the IPPs. But when you go to the category B, which comprises of the state, some of the state-owned enterprises who are providing power and are involved in this value chain, ECG has since August 2023 not dished out the amount that they are supposed to give to these category B sector players. Now, the submission of details of all bank accounts and investment accounts operated by the ECG. Now, this is shocking. What we found out from the statement is that instead of ECG having just one account, we are learning that ECG has 61 different accounts, bank accounts that they are operating. In fact, there are only 23, commercial banks in Ghana. Now, ECG has 61 bank accounts. Now, PURC requested for information on all of the 61 bank accounts, and they were able to provide information on just 36 of them, which they say it is not, complete. This is partially, this was partially, met, and that they should come again and provide all the information on all the 61 accounts. Now, there's also copies of ECG's power outage publication from 1st January 2024 to date, and we are learning that ECG did not comply with it, and this is where the fine has come in, where the board members are now having to suffer a fine of somewhere around 5.9 million Ghana cedis. The PURC was actually contemplating whether they should place this fine on ECG itself or put it on the board members. Now, per the analysis, if they put it on ECG, then it means that it will affect ECG's cost function and revenue mobilization. So why not? If you were a member of the board within a certain time frame, 1st January to 18 March, then you will be part of those who will be paying that almost 5.9 million Ghana cedis. Now let's go to the next slide that talks about other details from the PURC. Now, this is important. PURC was expecting ECG to raise some 8 billion Ghana cedis, more than 8 billion Ghana cedis, in fact, almost 9 billion Ghana cedis in terms of the cash waterfall mechanism for them to be able to pay all the sector players. Now, they looked at what they call their 98% requirement. ECG could not meet it, so they were requesting for somewhere around 7 billion. But at the end of the period under review, which is 1st January to 18 March, ECG only collected 4.9 billion Ghana cedis. The shortfall is around 2.1 billion Ghana cedis. Now, all of these monies were allocated to some of the major sector players. The money that was supposed to go to the category B IPPs or category B people who fall under the cash waterfall mechanism has not been disbursed. And ECG is, PURC is calling on the ECG to do that. Now, let's look at this one. This is interesting.
Yeah.
If you look at the transformers that ECG said that, I mean, it's as a result of that we had to go the power issues. Now, according to PURC, per the data they analyzed, less than the transformers that were loaded, less than 70% out of the 715 transformers was just 31. Those between 70 to 100, it means within capacity. 595. This is more than 80% or 70% of the total, I suppose. Now, those who are above 100%, I mean, overloaded, they are just 89 out of the 715. So why was ECG attributing
the power issues
let me put it that way, Boomso to faulty transformers and the fact that they had to undergo planned maintenance? We know what is at stake. What is at stake here is the fact that ECG must find money, or government must find money to get fuel in order for them to be able to feed the IPPs to supply the nation with power.
All right, so the PRC is also now directing the ECG to pay 446 million cedis by end of April. Tell us more.
Well, so that's what we discussed earlier on, that if you look at the cash waterfall mechanism, which is ECG, PRC was expecting ECG to raise some almost 9 billion Ghana cedis. They ended up raising 4.9. Now, out of that 4.9 billion, ECG allocated 446 million Ghana cedis to the category B, sector players who fall under the cash waterfall mechanism. But since August 2023, ECG has not paid this money, and most of them are state-owned enterprises. So why will you treat the category A guys who are usually IPPs and treat the category B group with such, maybe if I put it that way, disdain? And I mean, PURC is not happy with that, because under the IMF, negotiation, we looked at the fact that ECG now has more than, I think, 61 separate bank accounts. The IMF directive is actually a structural benchmark that Ghana must meet. And it's stated in there that ECG must make sure they consolidate all the accounts into a centralized bank account.
They reduce the 61 account
61 to one
account,
so that these accounts will be audited quarterly and reports will be provided to the PURC. And the deadlines that is stated in the IMF program has not been met, and PURC is not happy with that, Carlos.
Thank you so much. Kofi-Addo is with our research desk breaking the PURC statement down for our consumption. Meanwhile, some members of the public have expressed support for the PURC's decision to impose a fine of 5.8 million cedis on board members of the ECG for its failure or refusal to publish a load management schedule.
Me, I think it is fair because it's your responsibility and you failed to do it. And it's like they've been partial to you and they've given you a fine to pay. So I think it's fair. A lot of people's things have been spoiled, but the fine that they are supposed to pay, I don't think it can make up for the things that they've spoiled. But since it's legal, they've been legally fined, I think it's good. It's good. Because it's like they are giving justice to those whose things have been spoiled.
I want to ask ECG, the prepaid and then the postpaid that we've been paying, what do they use the money for? Because we've been buying prepaid, and here is the case, our lights normally go, so there is light off. So what do they use the money for? What brought about the debts? It's fair, they should pay, because yes, they should pay, and then they should involve us. They should pay, they should give us light, but they should pay, because the lights and the people we've been buying, what do they use the money for? If they had used the money wise, there wouldn't be any debts.
I feel like it's fair, because they're supposed to publish the schedule out and they didn't do that, so they have to pay that to compensate what they've done, like what they didn't do. Let me put it that way.
I think it's fair they pay that money, because if I said they should add some, that means it will, come from us. We are buying the prepaid. So that's how it goes. So it's okay for them for now.
It would be good for them to add some, because they are punishing us a lot. I think they have to add some to it. They will pay.
The thing that they do, I don't understand them. So it will have some. They pay, yes.
Now, still on the energy front, some drivers have confirmed that they are already charging new transport fares, contrary To the Ministry of Transport directive, driver unions across the country have proposed at least a 30% increase on transport fares, citing rising petrol prices and cost of spare parts. Before the GPRTU and government could reach an agreement, some drivers say they are already charging at least 20% on all transport fares.
It's not fair. It's not fair, but because we have not been authorized to increase fares. So I think anybody who increases the fare is illegal. So I think the law must deal with that person, that union or that organization until we hear from the right authorities. They should give us some fine percentage so that we increase, because things have gone up. The petrol is high, the spare parts are also high. So our expectation is that they should give us a fair deal.
They need to arrest them. They cannot increase the fares when there hasn't been any official communication from authorities. When it happens that way, there will be inconsistency in the system. We can't buy fuel, we can't buy spare parts, but your car owners will be expecting you to make huge sales to them. That is why we increase the fares. We run at a loss every single day.
Because petrol you have more than 2 years. They say you 2 months. You pay for a month for fair. My yes, you boka.
Because yes, drivers may be almost solid 2 of fame. Yes, say and 2 years because the train transport ministry. And common farmland because yes, drivers in so good here. Chino the may say a wound here. And Kayan can't show me some. You're not Casano, you can see it. I'm going to mark a beboy because petrol no the way up on hard.
Now, the LPG Marketers Association and the oil marketing companies are tonight collectively rejecting an $80 levy on liquefied petroleum gas. The National Petroleum Authority, in a statement last month, introduced the new $80 bottling plant and cylinder investment margin on all LPG products, directing all petroleum marketing companies to pay the levy into a dedicated account effective 1st April 2024. But OMCs and LPG Marketers Association are rejecting the new levy, describing it as insensitive. My colleague James Aveji joins us right now with details of those two statements. James, let's start from the LPG Marketers Association. They are raising some allegations that this levy is a replacement to the price stability recovery levy. Is that the fact?
Yes. So they start by first breaking down the components of the $80. They say $44 out of the 80 is actually per metric ton of LPG is allocated to the bottling plant, and $35 is allocated to the cylinder investment margins. They say that when the price stabilization and recovery levy was in place, they are charged, or they actually pay some 14 pesos per liter as levy, but this has been replaced by the new levy, translating into some 1 cedi 20 pesos per liter at the pump.
So, James, I think they are also scared that this is actually going to have some impact on government cylinder recirculation policy.
Yes, they are saying that government's, for instance, government's main objective of introducing the cylinder recirculation module in 2017 was to make sure that at least 50% of Ghanaian households revert to using the LPG by 2030. Their fear is that this may not be achieved because this new levy, for instance, will again lead to an increase in LPG prices at the pump. They say, for instance, the 6 kg cylinder, which you fill at around 100 Ghana cedis, and 14.5 kg, which sells at around 240 cedis, could increase by some 7.5%. This, they say, could, one, make the LPG unaffordable for the ordinary Ghanaian and could compel many of them to revert to the use of firewood as well as charcoal.
So what are their demands actually from the NPA?
They want, for instance, they describe this, as you said earlier, as inhumane and misuse of the fees and charges act, which the NPSA guaranteed them to do this. They want the NPA to actually relook at this and fashion a better way forward as far as this new levy is concerned.
Finally, the OMC also raised some concerns over the issue. What are they also saying?
A key amongst this concern, one, is the fact that they are saying there is lack of negotiation and on part of the NPA arriving at this new levy, and two, that they have not been, transparency in what the main purpose of this levy would be. They are demanding that they are brought to the negotiation table to relook at this and arrive at a better option that would favor the OMCs, the LPG marketers, as well as the ordinary Ghanaian, who is the main user of the LPG.
Thank you so much, James. James Aveji is with our energy desk here at Joy News. We can now hear from the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi, on why they think the levy is harsh and not progressive.
LPG we basically run on volumes. The more you are able to buy, the more you are able to survive as a company. So the continuous imposition of taxes, which raises the price of the product, which is pushing consumers away from consuming the product, will mean that the survivor of LPG companies, marketing companies, is in great danger. And indeed, most of our members are living on the edge. Some of them are collapsing. Some of them have started laying off workers because they are not able to make enough volumes to be able to sustain that level of employment. You know, and the LPG industry downstream is one of the few, very, very, very few Ghanaian-owned industries we have in this country.
Right.
In Ghana now, even Bayayachi and Kelewele and Bobe are being taken over by the Chinese. All the industries, even retail industries, have been taken over by foreigners. The LPG industry have been built and maintained over the past 25 to 30 years by indigenous Ghanaians. So this is an industry that we expect government to come up with policies to protect, because it's 100% Ghanaian owned. But rather we see government...
Yes, please go on.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm still with you. Please go on.
Yes, but on the contrary, we see government taking certain actions which is really, really fighting against the survival of the LPG industry in Ghana. So we have, for the past 6-7 years, we have consistently and persistently said that all taxes on LPG must go, because we believe LPG must be made tax-free. This is a product that serious countries like Côte d'Ivoire are indeed subsidizing the LPG. But in Ghana, with the imposition of this new tax, you will be paying more than 20% tax on the LPG. And this is a product that government intends to promote its usage. And you know, this is a mass product. This is a product that is used by the ordinary Ghanaian. So it's highly price elastic. So once you keep pushing taxes on it, you are indirectly telling Ghanaians that they should stop using LPG and go to the bush and cut firewood and use charcoal for cooking.
Let's head to the court now, where the Attorney General's office is making plans to extradite former CEO of Maslock, Sedina Tamaklo-Atieno, to face justice following a 10-year jail term handed her by the Accra High Court. Sedina Tamaklo was today handed a 10-year jail term for stealing, money laundering, causing financial loss to the state, and committing government to lose huge sums of money. The former head of operations of Maslock, Daniel Exim, was also sentenced to 2 years imprisonment in hard labor. Contrary to claims that Maslock paid victims of the Katamanto fire disaster huge sums of money to enable them resettle, it turned out that no amount of money was given to the victims. Presiding Judge Justice Ifeasewa Asariboche says such public officers are worse than armed robbers who rob people with households with AK-47 rifles. Head of our legal affairs desk, Richard Kojo Nyako, joins me in studio with more on the story. Richard, how did this case actually start?
So, Carlos, in 2017, the Economic and Organized Crimes Office investigated the activities of Maslock, and it turned out that they startled on a lot of revelations, so including the buses that were procured for the GPRTU, where they rejected. It also includes the Kantamanto fire victims, the money they said that they were giving them, and other microfinance schemes as well. So this is Sednam Tamaklo Ationu, and 78 total number of counts that were preferred against her. So some of the charges include causing financial loss to the state, stealing, conspiracy to steal, money laundering, contravening public procurement law. So these were some of the charges that were there. So instances of misuse of funds. So withdrawal of 500,000 as loan for Batampa Savings and Loans Company, demanding a refund when the institution refused to provide 24% interest rate. In spite of evidence, it was not reflected in Maslock's account. So let me tell you briefly about this. So they sent money, 500,000 as loan to Batampa Savings and Loan, but the interest rate was higher than the prevailing rate in the country, and so the company rejected it. But as to who the amount of money went to was the subjective issue. Exactly. So in court during cross-examination, it turned out that it was Sednam Ationu who signed, but she denied that she signed that particular document. And so we look at instances of misuse of funds, misappropriating over 1.7 million allocated for a sensitization exercise with only a fraction of the funds used for the intended purpose. So if you look at the sensitization exercise, they said they were going around the country to do for the purposes of education. It turned out that nothing was done, not even a single picture of that particular activity, happened. Even they went to the regional offices of Maslock, and it turned out that they didn't even know about any sensitization of that matter. So we look at other instances of money laundering and the others as well.
So were the accused persons in court?
Well, so Sednam Ationu was not in court. In fact, in the course of the trial, she sought permission from the court that she wanted to go for some medical checkup. It turned out that when she left, she never returned. In fact, they did all that they could to get her to face justice, but they didn't. But nonetheless, the trial happened. But the other accused person, Daniel Exim, was in court. He stayed throughout the court for the proceedings, and then today, when the sentence was handed them, he was there.
So walk us through the offenses then.
Well, so we have gone through some of the offenses already, the Obatampa one, and then mobile phones that were procured. But it turned out that the mobile phones that were procured by Maslock, the retail price. So if I was going to buy the mobile phone on the market, it will cost me like 100 Ghana cedis or 120 Ghana cedis. But the Maslock people said that they bought the phone at 400 Ghana cedis. They also procured 350 vehicles. And it turned out that these vehicles, if I were to go to the market as a retailer, I'll buy it at almost half the price that Maslock was given. And you remember the story of the GPRTU. They procured buses for them. But the amount of money they were giving to the GPRTU people was higher than what they expected, and so they had to reject that one. So this and other things that were part of the offenses.
So we understand the judge was really not happy about the situation. How?
Yes. So Justice Ifeasewa Asariboche, the Justice of the Court of Appeal, sitting as an additional High Court judge, was not really happy. She did not mince words. In fact, she said that throughout her journey as a prosecutor and now a Court of Appeal judge, she's never witnessed armed robbers going to someone's house and then going to rob them of 1 million Ghana cedis. But here we are, 90 million Ghana cedis by the stroke of the pen, by people who have been, endowed with the offices, public offices, and then they are using their pens to steal from the state. And so she implored on public officers to have mercy on the public purse.
No, and we know that the Attorney General's Department has been reacting to this development. What have they been saying?
Yeah, so first of all, before the Attorney General, the judge was very, very furious at the Attorney General's office for not getting Sednam back because she felt that they could have explored other ways of extraditing her to come and face justice. But they said that it is not too late. They will kickstart the process, and it is not only bringing her, but they are also to attach her properties. So wherever her properties are, be it in the country or outside the country, they are to attach it and to defray the cost.
But before you tell us about how the Attorney General Department has been reacting, do we know where Sedinam is currently?
So it is purported that she lives in the U.S. now, and so if they are to bring her back, then they have some mutual cooperation between Ghana and the U.S. So they can invoke the extradition clauses to bring her back into the country. But we've been speaking with the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chiayabwa.
Okay, and what has he been saying? He be saying? Yeah,
so he says that, well, it is not too late. They will do everything possible to get her to face justice.
Okay, thank you so much. Kojo Nyako is head of our legal desk here at Joy News, bringing us up to speed with what actually happened in court. Let's take a listen to this sound.
As far as you have laws relating to how you can extradite from one country to Ghana, if there's a judgment against like this one, rest assured that should be brought down to face justice.
We know that when it comes to extradition, it deals more with the treaty that you have with the country the person is residing in. Can you throw some more light when it comes to the processes with respect to U.S. and Ghana, where she is?
I may not throw us so much for you, but we have the MLA, Mutual Legal Assistance, U.S., we have that conflict with them. So very soon, we hear about the results. So just rest assured and keep monitoring the space.
But has the state not been proactive with this? The judge appeared not happy that you have to wait all this while.
I think the state attorneys are here. In the course of the trial, they made it known to the court that the issue of extradition may be tackled. But the preoccupation was to make sure the matter proceeded to finality. And today, we've come to that stage. And so we're going to take that next step. When it comes to extradition, sometimes you start and you have some kind of problems, blocks. The person may choose to appeal and all manner of things. But this is the situation where we have final judgment. It's not as if you are being brought here to be tried, or you can raise all the defense out there that maybe they're persecuting or whatever, but it's a judgment. And so that's why I said, you hold on. Very soon she'll be brought down to Ghana to face justice.
Oh, you said to those who say Mr. Azim has been treated unfairly. I mean, from the traces of money, it's just 20,000 cedis that he received, and that was even a gift.
It matters not. It can be 1 cedi. Was it properly received? This one is a form of advice and caution.
This still is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us to some other stories. Amidst the vibrant business ongoing in the Tudu market, the streets are covered with rubbish. As plastic bags and wrappers are scattered in the market, it is clear that Tudu market is unhygienic. But who will shoulder the responsibility of reversing the trend? Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson was there for today's episode of Filth Exhibition.
The Tudu market is abuzz with activity. Traders are alert as hawks, seeking to divert shoppers' attention to their wares. On the other side are money changers prowling the streets, looking out for those willing to change their foreign currencies. It is simply another day to make profit. But in the midst of all the chaos, laced on every corner and in front of the stalls is the rubbish walk of fame. Bags of filth littered everywhere on the major street.
On the side of the road, on the major road in the Tudu market, is this bag of trash, mainly made up of plastics, bottles, and takeaway packs. What is interesting is
Everybody is going past it unconcerned. The market's hygiene has become a cause for concern. But who will take responsibility?
It is the junkies that spill the rubbish on the streets. Those junkies are responsible.
The store owners are responsible for the filth in the market. What they do is, at the end of business, they push all their rubbish out on the streets.
Even though traders indicate the presence of a few trash cans and payment to the rubbish collectors to collect the filth, these are not the solution to the major loitering in the area. People continue to litter on the streets instead of putting it in the trash cans.
Oh, and a part of the home, I think, and a part of the ball and by a Riano, who's a ball and I won't have a beer film. That's me being I use.
When they sweep, there is no dustbin to collect the rubbish. That is why it is littered all over.
Mama, dustbin, Hano. Eh, me for an answer, waste management for me, financial say guasa.
And the guasa, because yes, say, maybe a quack.
Any dustbin, here dustbin. Here dustbin, any dustbin, here dustbin.
We need dustbins here to take the rubbish. If there was a bigger container collecting all the rubbish, there wouldn't be this much filth.
Well, until city authorities enforce sanitation bylaws, the plastic bags and wrappers will continue to be scattered about like confetti, posing a threat to the environment and the health of people in the market. Until the next episode, this is Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson for Filth Exhibition.
Now, the leader of Ghana Environmental Advocacy, Elizabeth Va, is demanding immediate actions by the traditional leaders in the Nzima enclave and other parts of the country to speak against the activities of irresponsible mining in their areas. According to her, some few children in the area have died in pits left uncovered by illegal miners in the Nzima area, a situation she describes as unfortunate.
These angry Nzima residents are unhappy about the rate at which illegal miners are causing destruction to forest and water bodies in their enclave. They mounted placards with different inscriptions preaching the disadvantage and health implication of illegal mining in the area. Elizabeth Eluwa-Va, leader of the Ghana Environmental Advocacy, a group of young people living in Nzima and other parts of the country, indicated at a press conference that almost all river bodies in the Nzima enclave of the western region have been polluted by illegal miners. She is unhappy security agencies in the country and political heads have refused to deal with the issue, and urging the traditional leaders in the Nzima area, who are their last hope, to take immediate actions to prevent these illegal miners.
Irresponsible surface mining has destroyed our forests, land and rivers, and continues to pose an existential threat to us, cannot be overemphasized. At this point, even the only stranger in Jerusalem is aware of the risks we face. Why then can't we stand together with one voice and destroy this evil? So why then are we in Ghana, Nzimas, Wasas, Seshis, Ashantis, Fantis, Eves, Dagombes, etc.? Why are we running headlong to our death? Enough is enough. To send this message to our esteemed Nananom, who as custodians of the land are the last protectors of our lands, forests and rivers, that we cannot let this continue. Even if our political leaders have let us down, they, Nananom, are our last hope.
According to her, many citizens in the country are now drinking and eating mercury and other harmful.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Election Headquarters for an informed electorate. Now, founder and leader of the Movement for Change, Alan Kojo-Tremanten, has promised to build an ultra-modern market for traders at the Agona Nkwanta market in the Ahanta West municipality of the Western region. On a day's tour of some market centers in the region on Monday, he also reiterated his promise to remove all the tax components on spare parts import when he wins power.
This is his first visit to the Western region after forming his own party, the Movement for Change. His first stop on the day's tour of some market centers in the region was at the Agona Nkwanta market, a major market in the Western region which serves patrons even beyond the Ahanta West municipality. Here, the flag bearer of the Movement for Change, Alan Kojo-Tremanten, promised to build an ultra-modern market when voted into power. He also re-echoed his pledge to establish a bank to assist them in accessing loans for their businesses.
32 years. Motor naughty. Never by market. I am young. So super. And to grade about the go. I told you come as a way my don't pecam. December 2024. So go to Abba. The Aguna will build a modern market. Oh, when your baby, what do you want? Only problem, yeah. What are they doing? Yabasha, Yasa, Yaya, Traders Bank. Traders Bank, already. One banker, a bank, Yabba, Motina, Yasha, what do I want bank? Mosa, sir, I shall push Upper one banker, Motibiano, my should better.
Another stop was at the Takra de Kokompe, where he assured the spare parts dealers of his commitment to remove all tax components on spare parts imports within 2 years of becoming the president.
Still watching Joy News here. We'll take a short break. We'll return with Showbiz. Please stay with us. It's time for Showbiz, and the queen of Showbiz on the continent of Africa is in studio. Yeah.
Continent of Africa.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Liberia, Zimbabwe,
Nigeria, across Botswana, Kenya, South Africa,
yeah,
all the way to Egypt.
Right.
Yeah, you've conquered.
I am so big.
Yeah, you're a big woman.
Well, hello, Africa, everybody. This evening, let's talk about Amrado. You know, yesterday we spoke about Amrado, the fact that his song wasn't part or added to the popular song of the year this year's TGMAs, but thankfully it was brought back, and he's been speaking to my colleague Andy Dusty on Daybreak Hit this morning, and he's been talking about how he felt really appreciated about being added to the category.
Well appreciated. Not just for myself, but then for the people out there who needed this. Because I believe that in as much as I am an artist and I needed it, I believe the people who supported me through the course, who supported the song, who made it a nationwide hit, are also pleased, and then we all can move forward peacefully now. So I'm very excited, and then I'll say a big shout out to my team for sending in the petition, and then shout out to TGMS for giving us the ears. Honestly, I when I found out that I wasn't in the nomination list, especially the most popular song, I was a bit indifferent.
And talk about Thames. I'm not sure. You know Thames?
Oh, I know Thames.
You don't need a
because I can't sing, but I know Thames.
you don't want to sing.
Yeah,
I noticed that. So for the first time, Nigerian musician Thames gave fans a special. I have a dream that we'll have one of our own, obviously from Ghana.
Yeah, sure.
Sharing the same stage with all these big artists outside the country. Yeah. That's my dream.
Yeah, if you make it.
It's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
I believe so. Alrighty. So for those of you who are lovers of Bridgerton, season 3 is almost here, so you can catch it up.
Sure. Go watch it.
You won't watch it.
I will watch. All right, thank you. That's all we have time for here on Joy News Prime. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. My name is Carlos Caloni, and she is
Rebecca Daku Trenebois. You can call me Becky Bex. Oh, that's Bex.
All right, bye-bye.